Okay, we're continuing this speech that the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave about Yud Beit Yud Gimel Tammuz. Yud Beit Yud Gimel Tammuz. And that was the date when the first Rebbe, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, miraculously, super miraculously, got out of prison and got out of exile and basically defeated the terrible communist regime. This is 1927, and he put the first crack, albeit a small one, in the Iron Curtain. And eventually in 1990, 70, what it was, 63 years later, the whole thing fell down. The whole communism fell down and opened up. But the Rebbe was the one who started it, amazingly. So this is a speech that the Rebbe gave in 1962. This is the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the successor of the Rebbe that was in prison, right? So here we go. So we talked about yesterday about the tremendous determination and firm resolution of the previous Rebbe that he was not going to be affected negatively in any way by his captors. He was in communist prison. They were killing people right and left, and he heard them being killed. And it was a frightening, awesome, terrible situation. And he was separated from all of his followers. Nobody could possibly help him. And everyone there was a potential murderer. But miraculously, because of his stubbornness and his determination and his bravery and his total trust in God and unwillingness to bow down to anything that opposed, even in the smallest way, to Torah and commandments and his principles, as because of that, he became the leader. He became the controller over there. They told him he could go home. He said, if it means that I'm going to have to travel on Shabbat, I'm not going to go. And so they say, well, what do you want to do? He said, I'll stay in prison. I'll stay in prison. So he forced them to release him, and then he forced them to let him stay for a few more days. And when he left, you'll see that he forced them to give him all of his books. Okay, let's go. Now the Rebbe is going to talk about the future redemption and how it's relevant to here. Look in the book, Isaiah, chapter 43, or it says over here, chapter 43, where is it? Oh, why doesn't it say it over here? Anyway, that's what it is, chapter 43. You have to open pasuk on the sentence that says, in this week's Torah portion, well, no, in Isaiah, we'll get to it, but there's going to be next. The Torah portion, when the Rebbe was released on that year that the Rebbe is speaking, it fell out on Parshas Balak. That was last week. Remember, Bilam gave all these blessings to the Jewish people. So it says, Mirosh Tzurim Erenu, Umigvoos Asherenu. It says, from the top of mountains, I see the Jews. He looked at all the Jews. He tried to curse them, and he said it wasn't going to work. So he said, Bilam, and it's written in the Torah. He said, I see them from the tops of the mountains, and from the high hills, I view them. Says in the Midrash, what are these mountains that Bilam saw the Jews from? He was standing on a mountain, right? What does he have to say? I'm standing on a mountain. What is it here? It says he was referring to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And the mothers and the hills are the mothers. Sora, Rivka, Rachav, Aleah. And the Midrash gives an example. Mashal Lamelech, this is compared to a king. That he wanted to build a country. Boli Tana Yesod, he wanted to make a foundation. But water was coming up. Right? He couldn't find any stable ground. Until Motzatzur, he found, right? He told his people to keep digging and digging, and they found a big solid place, a big mountain under the ground, a big kach, also matchila, the Jewish people. Kavan Shaboa Avos, God wanted to found the world, and he couldn't find anything stable. Kavan Shaboa Avos, as soon as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob came, Vazachu, and they merited. Omar Kodesh Baruch Hu said, and these people are going to found the world. The Rebbe just says, he just translates it into Yiddish, right? Gleich von Ahmed in the beginning, the Eberster gesucht said, to Bagrenden, God wanted to found the whole world, as he could nitke found, and he couldn't find any stable ground until he came and found the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's. This is a mashal to the melech. This is like a king, etc. That a king wanted good. So it says this is like a king, and he wanted to make a ground. He wanted to make a world, a city, whatever, and he couldn't. He couldn't find any firm ground. When he found Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, as Ergekumen Legendem Yesod, he could make the foundation. Azoi, similarly, Hater Eberster had God, he wanted to make the world. But because they became Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they said that now the world would be firm, as he could build the world on these people. The Tachlis HaKavana, the whole purpose from the creation of the world, Vetzich Oisferen Bebias Mashiach, will only happen when Mashiach arrives. Und Punkt wie der Aneb, just like the beginning of the creation of the world, was because of the merit of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and that's what Bilam saw. He said, the Jewish people there, I see them from the mountains, I see them. In other words, if you look at the Jews from the aspect of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you can't curse them. The same thing with the whole world. And when Mashiach comes, that's going to be the completion of the world. The completion of the world depended on the beginning of the world. The beginning of the world was because of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Also the purpose of the creation, which is the coming of the Mashiach, will come in the merit of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Vider Navizak, like the prophet says, this is the sentence in Isaiah. The Jewish people are called in my name, and in my glory, it says, under Targum, that says, called the Bidil Abahasam Tzidkayu. All of this, the whole world, and the Jewish people especially, are because of the fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Because of this, Avadis Nisim, that's why it did miracles for the Jews. Das Altis Tzulib Eira Avos, this is all for the sake of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The Tzaddikim, the righteous Jews, was my Neman Verd Gerufen, which my name is called on them, on the Jewish people. When Tzulib mein Kavodim, because of my glory, therefore I created them. Ich hab zugegret, sein Galusen, I prepared their exile. Ke'av aber euch getan wie nisim. I put them into exile, but I also made miracles for them. Their pasuk, the sentences called in Nikra B'Shemi, so it says, what everything that's called in my name. Excuse me, this thing is falling apart over here. There we go. Okay. This sentence that says that the Jewish people, they are called in my name and in my glory, and they exist for the sake of the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is a sentence in Isaiah. Where is it in Isaiah 43? Here we go. Isaiah 43, chapter 43. I advise you to have a look over there. And it's talking about the redemption of the Jewish people in the future. Usually in Isaiah, he throws in a couple of sentences or paragraphs of reproof, because the Jews were doing some big time sins. But always, there's always at least some comfort and saying, listen, it's true, you Jews are making me crazy, and I'm going to destroy the temple, and I'm going to scatter you around, but I love you, and I'm going to gather you all together. That's what chapter Mem 43 is. Read it, you'll see. All of that says the Jewish people, they are called in my name. This comes is in a continuation of the previous sentences, which are talking about the way that going to be the future redemption. What does it say over there? Mimizrach avi. Jews are scattered all over the world, spiritually, physically, scattered. It says, Mimizrach avi zaracha. From the east, I will bring your seed. Mimarav, from the west, akabetzcha. I will gather you. Omer letzafon, I will say to the north, Tani, give. Ulam ulateman, and to the south, al tichli, don't interfere. Huh? What's the sentence say? The world itself will participate, will help gather the Jews together. The east, the direction, the east, I'll bring all the Jews. From the west, I will gather you. I will say to the north, give, and to the south, don't interfere. In the future redemption, when the Jews are going to be gathered from all the world, as ois will be redeemed, all the Jews. Vu norze gefinen, no matter where they are, in the four directions of the world. When their pasuk in the sentence explains how it is as vet zayin, how it's going to be in the future from the four directions of the world. By the east and the west, God says, I will bring them. I will gather. God said, don't worry about it. I'll arouse the Jews. Will bring in deine Kinder. I'll bring all of my children. And I will dir zusammen kleben. I'll gather them all together. The Eibishter is speaking. This is the prophecy of Isaiah. Zu Yidden, to all the Jews. Nitzu Mizrach, the Jews is not just to the east and to the west. He's speaking to he's not speaking to the east. He's speaking to the Jews that are in the east and the west. It says by the future redemption, it says that the south, God will say, doesn't say I will bring you. What does it say to the south? It says Al tichli, don't interfere. Du sollst nicht verschließen. Don't lock the Jews in. Nit far maiden. Don't make any trouble. Read it there to Tzeiman, God speaks to the east and the west, saying, the Jews, I'm going to gather you. The Jews from the east and the west. From the south, it says to the south, speaking to the south, not to the Jews in the south. It's speaking to the south. We'll see what this means. Don't interfere. Read it there to Tzeiman Allah. He's talking to the south itself. Azay zol nit steren, that it shouldn't stop the redemption, Jews from redeeming. By Tzafon, and on the north, it says, was is their makom ra, which it says that the north is the source of evil. As a sentence says, mitzafon tifatach ra, says from the north, that's where evil comes from. That's our pasuk in Jeremiah. From there it says, not just don't interfere. It says, Tini, give, bring in. You, the enemies of the Jews, the haters of the Jews, you will help. The communists, the Christians, the Zionists, who knows what, those people that want to interfere with Judaism, that's called the North, is not only will they stop interfering, like it says about the South, it says you'll help. As nit nor, not only will they not nit vermeden, they won't prevent the Jews, nor they'll help the Jews to come in the future redemption. Thus is their oiftu. This is the whole idea of the future redemption. As afilu tzafon, even the north, that ois Messiah, even the evil forces of the world will help to the future redemption. Un oif them from their geula and also from the future redemption, as nit nor, not only was keiner vet nishteren, not only will nobody stand in our way, like God says to the south, nor oich zut to as the tzafon, even more, the evil forces of evil, which is synonymous with the north, will help us. Zok the Navi, the prophet says, call and nikra b'shemi. Because why? Because all the Jews are called in my name, says God. As thus all is in zechus, and it's all in the merit of why. Why are the Jews called in God's name? Because of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They were the ones that the world were founded on, and they're the ones that the world will be redeemed because of. Was oich by Avos, because also by Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, there were also big miracles, and similar to the nisim, to the miracles from the future redemption. Biz Omar Litzafon Tani, and one of the biggest miracles will be that the north, the evil forces of the north, will help us. This is something like what the communists did. We'll talk in a minute. Sufficient the nisim. Let's go back to sufficient the nisim. Among the miracles which were done for our fathers, our how do you say, our righteous forefathers, is farstandig. It's understood as the miracles which were by the tzaddikim also in our generation, the generation of Moshiach, namely the previous Rebbe. Vazei Zaina, which they are, Haktama, they precede, and a preparation to the miracles from the future redemption. As Zaina Zainach mirror, they're even more similar to the miracles which will be in the future redemption. In other words, the closer that we get to the future redemption, the miracles will be more similar, right? Before the future redemption, the miracles that occur will be similar to what happened, what's going to happen. In other words, what does it mean? The miracles that happened on Yud Beis Yud Gimel Tammuz were something like the miracles that are going to be in the future when God says to the north, to the evil, help. You'll help to bring the Jews out. What happened? 1 minute. 1 minute. Maybe I went too fast. Yeah. Well, okay. How did the communists help the previous Rebbe to get out? They wanted to kill all the Jews. How did they help him? Like it says, we said earlier that the time when the Rebbe was far ortelt to Veren Farshicht, when the Rebbe got the news that he was going to be sent for 3 years in exile in Kostroma, as then he made a condition that he would not leave the prison unless he didn't have to travel on Shabbat. It wouldn't touch on the Shabbat. On Rearin, it wouldn't touch Shabbat. Hatman das im nachgegeben, so they gave in to him, und der Leuben zu verbleiben, and they allowed him to actually remain in the jail bis Sonntag, until Sunday. Was das ist doch verkehrt. This is exactly the opposite of what things go in, how it went in that prison. The prisoners never told the officials what to do. They never forced the officials to do anything. Valpunk, just like their site, when comes the time when they Emerson Al-Halton, when they wanted to arrest someone and put him into prison, as you cannot go out. As also the same thing when they made a decide to send someone out, you can't stay there. What happened with the Rebbe? The Rebbe, the time they wanted to hold him in, he's forced them that they had to let him out, which was a total amazing miracle. And when they said, okay, you're out, that's it, get out. He said, no, I'm going to stay. He forced them. But the Rebbe had euch them geführt, that he made it that they would want to and they would help him. The Zelber, the same thing is also by the Rebbe when he was the Farlazan and the ganze Medina. The same thing was that the Rebbe had this effect on the whole entire country of Russia, communist Russia. Zain a Royce foreign Fundard, when the Rebbe left there, is nit nor gavin, it wasn't as an ofen in a way of al tichli, that the government just didn't prevent him, like God's going to say to the south, don't stop the Jews. Was men hadim nit geschikt in them, it was as in nit geschikt in them, nor biz in an ofen from Tini. It's not just that they didn't stop him from leaving. They said, okay, you can leave whatever you want. No, the communist government actually helped the Rebbe to leave. They haben nit bamit as their Rebbe Zoloroiskin, that they actually helped the Rebbe to go out. Kiyadu, as it's known, that the Rebbe said that he would not leave until he left with all of his books. The Rebbe had a huge, huge library, and he said he wasn't going to leave Russia until he left with all the books. The fact is that there's still a lot of books that are there, but those are the books from the Rebbe's father. Ksavim. B'shas is zayin and gekumen to mevakrim durch kuken the Sforim. So they said, listen, we can't let the books out of Russia until the censors go over the books, right? Maybe there's something anti-communist in the, who knows what's in the books. We're not going to let. So the Rebbe said, okay, I'll wait. When they haben gewollt upkalt, and they wanted to stop the Rebbe and check through the books to figure maybe there's something valuable, who knows what. Hat the Rebbe gesagt, the Rebbe said, as oib mivet, azoi tan, if you want to delay the books, so I'm not leaving without my books. And there were like thousands of books. There were crates and crates of books. A lot of these books that the Rebbe had were handwritten documents from the previous Rebbes, that they were precious. In fact, when they first came into the Rebbe's house to arrest him, it was Jews that came in. And the Jews had been Hasidic Chabad. There was one called Lulav, another guy Nachmanson, and they came in and they said they want to check through the books. And the Rebbe said, I don't want your filthy hands to touch the books. I'll go in the room, I'll open up all the books for you. You can look and you can see. And that's what it was. They didn't find anything. Now the Rebbe wants to leave. So he said, I'm not going to leave without the books. Haben sie telefoniert. So they telephoned to Leningrad, to their chiefs in Leningrad, wo der Rebbe hat sich gefunden, where the Rebbe was. So the Hechster, to the highest officials that were in the city, the ministers over there, und gesagt, as the Rebbe Schneerson, the Rebbe Schneerson, as gemeint them, mean the Rebbe, as stareshit und oib, he refuses to leave. He's making trouble. Wir werden nicht mitgenommen alle eines Wortes, and he wants to take all of the books that are with him. As Vetter Alain, he says, if you don't allow him to go with all the books, then he says he's not going to leave. No, so you think the government would say he's not going to leave, so don't let him. So let him stay. Hotman from Moscow, so Moscow answered. Moscow, that was the capital of it. They answered as that. Mizolim als nachgeben. Give him whatever he wants to. Mihat the censor. So the censor befoilen zu aroi pflegen of jeders for him. So he stamped on all of the books, on all the cart. There were these, shipping crates. On all the shipping crates, he stamped an official stamp that it's okay. He checked them and he went through. This is the thing we said before, as Omer Litzafon Tani, that God says through the prophet Isaiah that the north, the forces of evil, not only will they allow you to leave, they will help. Tani, they give all the Jews. So his nitztam and nes is not just a regular miracle above nature, nor a nes what their Eibishter macht, a miracle that God made, that Safon, that the evil forces of the, so to speak, the north, which is synonymous with evil itself, like we learned from the prophet Jeremiah, that evil comes from the north, it says, was mitzafon to fatach, it says that from the north opens up all evil, that not only were they not evil to the Rebbe, and not only did they not allow the Rebbe to leave, nor Messiah, but they helped the Rebbe, oif to a roiskin from Medina, that go out from his limitations in an ordinate way, v'shichru v'cheres, in a way that was free. The nisim, the miracles for the tzaddikim, and especially in the last generation, the miracles which happened to the previous Rebbe are a preface and a preparation, like we said before, on a hora, and also a teaching to us, a directions, u'pesak din, and it's also a decision, vs vetzayin, how it's going to be in the future redemption. Nit nor, not only al tachli, that the world will not prevent us, mivet the geula nit steren, that the world will not prevent the future redemption, to up stimmung, udarfen thereby ankommen zu emetze rishayon. Not only will the world not prevent us or make trouble for us, that we're going to have to look for some sort of permissions and how do you say, documents to allow us to be Jews. And then on wir sagt, like it says in Heintek of Haftorah, like it says in Haftorah last week's, it says lo yikaveh leish v'lo yachal v'nei adam. It says the Jewish will not be dependent on anyone else and any human being whatsoever. In other words, the world will help us. Thus vet their Eibishter, God will make Litzafontini, that God will make it, that the evil forces will help us. With the Taman, and to the south it says, Altichli, nothing will prevent us. This is a shmus zwischen der Eibishter. This is a conversation between God and the north and the south. But the Jewish people, we don't have anything to do with it. We Jewish people have to do our job, to be Jews, do Torah, do mitzvahs, be honest, be faithful, be happy, do the commandments. All these evil forces that are in the world that are trying to destroy us, God will take care of it. Not only will God take care of it, He won't eradicate them. They'll actually help us. They'll be valuable to us. They'll help the Jews. Und das selbe is their Eibishter. God says to the north, give. As Safon, a line that the north itself will help the Jews. Evil itself will help in the future redemption. Uchashes is vet oichdan nit veren oisvelt. Just like back then, there won't be any more. The world will not be eradicated. The world, as vet bleiben, there will be a world, and there'll be a lot of nations. Like it said in the Haftorah last week's, Bekerev Amim Rabim, what is this? It says last week's. Remember, we learned last week's Haftorah, we learned from Micha. When as Velt Behemoths Yar, there'll be animals, there'll be a regular world. That's look in last week's Torah Haftorah. What was it? Micha, the 5th chapter of Micha, I think it was, right? 5th chapter of Micha. Let's look back over here. Not here. No. Oh, for some reason it doesn't bring it. Okay. Anyway, it is. I think it's the 5th chapter of Micha. You have to look over there. So it says that the Jews will be among many nations, and there'll be animals in the world. Ze velen de geula from Yidden, nit velen laden. Nothing will stop the Jews. Is von dest vegan, and nevertheless, not only there will be a world, and the world will be normal. There won't be eradicated the world. There won't have to be any wars where the world gets all destroyed and all of our enemies. No, exactly the opposite, says the Rebbe. We won't depend on anyone. And even more, the north, our enemies, the bad itself, will help the future redemption. As Ved Zayin there, Bnei Yisrael Yotzim Biyad Rama, the Jewish people will go out with an upraised hand, Bereish Galei, and an upraised head. Bebias Mashiach Tzidkenu Bekora Mamash. So just like the previous Rebbe got out of Russian prison and certain death, and they were the big enemies of Judaism, and not only did they let him out, but they actually helped him to get out, and so it will be the whole world in the future will help all of the Jewish people to act, think, speak, feel like Jews doing Torah and mitzvahs in the Holy Land, in the temple together with the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach now. Should we do the Yom Yom? Let's do the Yom Yom. Let's see if we can do it. All right. On this day, the Rebbe was freed. The imprisonment began at 2:15 on the middle of Sivan, a little bit less than a month. He remained in exile in the city of Kostroma until 1 hour past midday. This is a letter from the Rebbe. Just one moment. 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Okay. It says from the Rebbe, I send you a mimer, which is my participation with my beloved friends, the Hasidim, wherever they are, and I am united with you for the purpose of strengthening Hasidut, fixing times of learning Hasidut, and to be stimulated and pragmatically implement those studies. May God, the God of our fathers, bless our whole community, then and their households, the children, the people of God, with all good things, with physical and spiritual. Good. Wonderful. Have a good day with Moshiach. Now, thanks.